The more you carry, the more you can be controlled. That sentence sounds like it belongs in a philosophy lecture, delivered by someone in a quiet room with soft lighting and a calm, measured voice. It was actually a military insight, discovered the hard way, by armies who learned that every comfort dragging behind them was also a leash someone else could eventually grab. A supply line can be cut. A baggage train can be ambushed. A dependency, once established, becomes the exact place an enemy aims first, not at your soldiers, but at everything those soldiers had quietly come to rely on. The armies that understood this earliest didn't simply win more battles. They became, in a very real sense, almost impossible to defeat through the methods that worked on everyone else. Rome, in the final years of the 2nd century before the Common Era, had a serious problem, and it wasn't a shortage of soldiers or weapons. It was logistics. Specifically, the enormous, slow-moving baggage trains that trailed behind every Roman army. Wagons full of supplies, tents, equipment, all of it requiring protection, all of it requiring time to move, all of it representing a single, exploitable weakness that enemies had learned to target directly. Cut the baggage train, and you didn't need to defeat the army in open battle. You just needed to starve it, slow it, and watch discipline collapse as soldiers grew hungry, exhausted, and increasingly desperate for supplies that weren't arriving. A general named Gaius Marius looked at this problem and made a decision that seemed, to many of his contemporaries, almost absurd in its simplicity. He had his soldiers carry their own equipment. Not entirely, and not without support. Rome didn't abandon logistics altogether. But Marius dramatically reduced the army's dependence on those slow, vulnerable supply trains by distributing the burden directly onto the men who needed the equipment in the first place. Each soldier carried his own gear, his own tools, his own rations for a stretch of days, strapped across a forked pole that became almost a permanent extension of his body on the march. The soldiers, with the particular dry humor people develop when forced into difficult new habits, started calling themselves Marius's mules. It wasn't entirely affectionate. Carrying that much weight, day after day, was genuinely brutal. Historical estimates suggest each soldier hauled somewhere between 60 and 90 pounds of equipment across distances that would exhaust most modern people in a single afternoon, let alone repeated for weeks at a time. But here's the detail that turns this from an unpleasant logistics decision into something with real philosophical weight. An army that carries everything it needs cannot be starved out by cutting its supply lines, because there's no slow, separate line left to cut. This is worth sitting with carefully, because the principle underneath Marius's reform extends considerably further than ancient military logistics, even though that's where it was first proven decisively. Every dependency you build into your life functions, structurally, exactly like a Roman baggage train. It provides genuine support, most of the time, in exactly the way it's supposed to. That's not in question. The baggage trains weren't useless. They carried real supplies that real soldiers genuinely needed. The problem was never that the support existed. The problem was that the support existed separately from the people who needed it, trailing behind them, slower and more vulnerable than the soldiers themselves, creating a single point where the entire system could be attacked or simply fail. Modern life is full of equivalents, and once you start looking for them, they become difficult to stop noticing. A skill you've outsourced entirely to an app, rather than developing even minimally yourself, functions like a baggage train, convenient until the connection fails, until the subscription lapses, until the specific service you depend on simply stops existing one day with very little warning. A sense of stability built entirely around external validation. A job title, a follower count, a specific person's approval functions the same way. It works beautifully right up until the moment it's removed, and then you discover, often without much warning, how much of your actual functioning depended on a supply line you never controlled directly. Here's the part that should land with real weight, because it reframes something most people have never examined this precisely. A dependency only becomes a vulnerability the moment it's tested, and most people never test their dependencies until circumstances force the test on them anyway, at the worst possible time. Marius didn't wait for an enemy to demonstrate this weakness through catastrophic failure. He looked at the structural vulnerability honestly, in advance, and restructured his entire army around eliminating it before it could ever be exploited. That's a meaningfully different posture than most people take toward their own dependencies, which usually only get examined honestly after something has already gone wrong. There's a specific, slightly uncomfortable exercise worth applying here, in the spirit of Marius's own clear-eyed assessment. Think about your own life the way a hostile general might think about an army he's studying, looking specifically for the baggage train, the slow, separate, vulnerable support system trailing behind you that, if cut, would cause the most immediate damage to your actual functioning. For most people, that answer arrives faster than expected, and it's rarely a possession. It's usually a single point of dependency, financial, social, or psychological, that's been quietly trailing behind an otherwise capable person for years, completely unexamined, simply because it's never been tested. Rome wasn't the only ancient power to discover this principle. Sparta arrived at something remarkably similar, through an entirely different method, centered less on logistics and more on the deliberate cultivation of a particular kind of person. Spartan boys, beginning around age 7, entered a rigorous, state-controlled education system known as the agoge, designed specifically to produce soldiers who needed almost nothing external in order to remain effective. One detail from this system illustrates the principle with unusual clarity. Spartan youths were typically issued a single cloak to last an entire year, regardless of season, regardless of weather, regardless of how worn it eventually became. This wasn't simple austerity for its own sake, and reducing it to cruelty, which many modern retellings do, misses the actual logic Spartan society was operating under. The single cloak was training for a very specific psychological outcome. A person who has already adapted to discomfort doesn't experience the same discomfort other people would in identical circumstances. Cold weather, worn clothing, physical hardship, all of it became, through repeated exposure during formative years, simply the baseline experience of being alive, rather than a crisis requiring resources to solve. Compare that directly to how most modern people relate to even minor discomfort. A delayed flight, a weak signal, a meal that arrives late or wrong. Small disruptions that, for someone trained the way Spartan youths were trained, would barely register as worth noticing, provoke genuine, disproportionate distress in people who've never had to develop the capacity to simply tolerate discomfort without an immediate external fix available. That capacity, once it atrophies from lack of use, doesn't return quickly or easily. It has to be rebuilt deliberately, the same way physical strength does after a long period of inactivity. The Spartans understood something that modern comfort culture has almost entirely lost, that the ability to remain functional and clear-headed with very little isn't a fixed trait some people happen to have. It's trained, the same way any other capacity is trained, through repeated, deliberate exposure to circumstances most people instinctively avoid. Here's where Marius's logistics and Spartan training converge into a single underlying principle, even though they emerge from entirely different methods and centuries apart. Both approaches recognize that strength isn't primarily about how much support you can accumulate. It's about how little support you actually require in order to remain fully functional when support disappears, whether through enemy action, supply failure, or simple bad luck. A Roman soldier carrying his own gear couldn't be starved out by a severed supply line, because he was the supply line. A Spartan trained to function with one cloak couldn't be psychologically destabilized by hardship, because hardship had already been thoroughly, deliberately normalized during the years that mattered most for forming that capacity. Different methods, same underlying architecture. Reduce what you depend on, and you reduce what can be used against you. Here's where this connects directly back to your own life, sitting wherever you're sitting right now, almost certainly nowhere near an actual battlefield. You aren't marching toward war, but you are, in a meaningfully real sense, moving through a world specifically engineered to weigh you down with invisible dependencies. comforts, conveniences, and subscriptions that, much like Rome's baggage trains, trail behind you constantly, providing genuine support most of the time, while quietly representing exactly the place where you're most vulnerable to disruption. Consider the modern equivalent of a baggage train running through nearly every life right now. Subscriptions you'd struggle to immediately replace if the service disappeared tomorrow. Digital systems holding information, relationships, or work that exists nowhere else, entirely dependent on infrastructure you don't control and rarely even think about. A sense of daily stability built on routines so comfortable that even minor disruption, a delayed delivery, a service outage, a single unexpected inconvenience, produces disproportionate stress completely out of scale with the actual problem. None of this makes you weak in any meaningful sense. It makes you exactly like almost everyone else currently alive, operating inside systems designed for convenience rather than resilience. But it's worth asking the question Marius effectively asked his own army, long before any enemy forced the question on him through actual catastrophic failure. If your supply line was cut today, your job, your usual systems, your typical comforts, how long could you actually function on what you currently carry, unaided, yourself? This isn't a question designed to produce anxiety. It's designed to produce information, the same clear-eyed kind of information Marius used to restructure an entire army before disaster forced the issue. Most people, applying this question honestly for the first time, discover they're carrying considerably less genuine self-sufficiency than their comfortable daily life would suggest. That's not a failure. It's simply an accurate reading of a baggage train most people have never bothered to examine, because nothing has yet forced them to. The armies that survived longest in history weren't the ones with the most support trailing behind them. They were the ones who'd already asked, and honestly answered, exactly how much of that support they could function without, before the answer was forced on them by an enemy who'd already done the math. So here's what history's most effective armies actually understood, stripped of the battlefield imagery this video has used to make the principle concrete. Extreme minimalism, applied at this level, was never really about empty rooms or simplified wardrobes. It was about unencumbered power, the specific, considerable strength that comes from needing less, not because deprivation is virtuous in itself, but because every genuine need creates a point where you can be slowed, starved, or controlled by whoever understands that dependency better than you do. Marius reduced his army's vulnerability by making every soldier self-sufficient enough to function without the baggage train. Sparta reduced its soldiers' vulnerability by making discomfort itself unremarkable through years of deliberate, formative training. Both arrived at the same conclusion from entirely different directions. The lighter you march, the harder you are to stop. You aren't training for war, but the invisible dependencies quietly trailing behind your own life are real, even if they never get tested by anything as dramatic as a severed supply line on an ancient battlefield. The question worth carrying forward from this isn't whether you should abandon every comfort immediately. It's simpler and considerably more useful than that. What's one invisible dependency currently trailing behind you that you'd be stronger for finally carrying yourself? If this changed how you think about your own baggage train, say so in the comments. What's one invisible dependency you're cutting today, so you can march a little lighter? You don't need the full answer immediately. You just need to start carrying the question.